The past semester has been a whirlwind of struggles, rewards, and piles of schoolwork. Bartlett was probably the biggest challenge I have faced this year, from way back in September when I shook every time I even thought about addressing our class, until late April when I finally had the confidence to enter that classroom without starting to shake at all. It's almost as if my attitude about my teaching has done a complete 180. The semester in itself presented so many challenges: opera, world music, and the dreaded culture day. We had to switch from world music right into opera with zero transition, and then had only 3 lessons with which to teach about a whole opera. Only 3 50-minute sessions. After being stolen by Craig, saved by Scott, and then being betrothed to both Scott and Craig, we were able to get the story of the magic flute across to the students with only 3 actors. We switched on back into world music for a while, slowly going from Spain to Africa through flamenco music and trying to figure out not only what to do for Culture Day, but how to go about getting our students to want to do it. It was around this time in the semester when the already shaky foundation of our group dynamic was rocked once again. Now we had to teach by ourselves. I introduced African music solo. I did not have Scott or Craig to do a skit with or perform a song with, and I kind of crashed and burned. I tripped over my words, struggled to keep them quiet, struggled to keep them behaving. The whole lesson was a rough and exhausting experience. As bummed out as I was, I pulled myself out of the ashes, dusted off, and realized exactly what I needed to do to get some confidence. I needed to teach more. I needed to observe more. I needed to reflect more on what I was doing and be very aware of what I was saying. Of course, all of this is easier said than done. I did go and observe, and just in the solo lessons I was teaching more than I was when we were working as a group. The next time I taught, I found myself much more confident. I walked into the classroom and wasn't as shaky as I usually was, nor was I as frazzled. I spoke more clearly to the students than I ever had before. It was personally my most effective teaching session to date. I asserted my authority, but still tried to remain accessible to the students. I made many mistakes, but compared to my solo lesson before that, I was proud of my performance. I had confidence. I worked as hard as I could, and I asserted my authority as the teacher. The students also made a good showing of their creativity, something that always makes me smile with our class. They are so creative, and they don't even realize it. I wish I had more time to work with them and get them to realize their full potential. There were a lot of times this semester where I felt like I was the mean one out of the 3 of us, especially near the end of the semester. I had no problem calling out our class when they were getting too chatty, and by the end of the semester, I think the class began to realize that. Classroom management was one thing I thought I would have a much more difficult time with. Once I realized I was allowed to be louder than the students, boy did I ever use that to my advantage. The fact that by second semester the students finally remembered my name was a reward I'll never forget as well. They would listen to me when I spoke, and if I asked them to be quiet, they generally listened. The true reward was just the other day, however, when I was leaving Bartlett for the last time and one of our students yelled my name and waved out the window. That was a reward I will truly never forget. Culture Day was the true showing of how effective we were. We had the students performing in front of the whole school, and while we felt like we could have done better, the staff and faculty seemed very pleased with us. I'm just glad the students got up there and performed and kept going with it without giving up. I also think that solo teaching actually did help our group dynamic as well. It felt like a constant battle for a while, and by the end of the semester, we were finally working as one cohesive group. Our last lesson was probably one of our most successful group lessons of the year, and it felt great to know that we could pull it together, we just didn't know how. Once we figured it out, everything clicked, and the students learned more quickly and effectively than they had the whole year. I just wish we had figured out earlier in the year, rather than struggle for so long and come together at the end. I really think this experience has given me the confidence to know that yes, when I get into the real world, I can do this. And the more I practice my teaching, the better I will become. This year proved that for me time and time again. All I have to do is keep trucking along, keep all my ideas flowing, and